So this is a ribbon cable breakout board. It works great for testing the ribbon cables that control these EAO simplex lighting circuits in things like featherlight coaches. And the way this works is you'll need a very long ribbon cable. You can buy ribbon cable straight up. I bought 30 foot long section. And then you have to buy the IDC 40 2x20 connector ends to make a complete cable. Now this is 2 female ends. To test one of these ribbon cables for the lighting, you'll need to make one that has a female end and one that has a male end. So you can splice your 30-foot long cable to this board and to the original cable. So pretend like one end of this is coming through the dash here, and the other end is coming from my 30-foot long cable connected to the other end of the cable that's run through the bus. What you do is you place the cable either end into the board, making sure you're connecting at pin 1 the red ribbon is pin 1. This allows you to connect each individual wire across the board, these switches here. So if you wanted to test a circuit and you knew that one button was getting its power from pin 1, you'd connect pin 1. And if the other side of the button was getting power in pin like 17, you could then switch 17 and then that button would work. Or you could allow that circuit to operate if the cable is good. But if you're just testing the cable, you want to make sure all your switches are off so that when you have no cable connected, I'll remove the cable and do a test. I've got my multimeter over here. So test for continuity with the meter, good. Now if I hold this, you'll see here, if you look closely enough, and I apologize for the lighting, there's little test holes, and there's also header pins. The test holes are best for testing with multimeter probes. You can just kind of stick it right in the hole. So pin 1 to pin 1, you want to confirm before you connect the wire that when you touch pin 1 and pin 1 on A and B, there's no tone. But verify that your multimeter is connected. Now, when you connect the cable, and you lock it down into position, you now can test for continuity of the cable itself. If you have the switch turned on, as I did earlier, with no cable connected, you'll get continuity across there because you're bridging the gap between the two sides of the board. All right, so now that the switches are off and you have your board configured for continuity testing, you can then connect both ends of your cable and hold one probe on each hole. So I'm using pin 1. This is a little hard to do with one hand. Pin 1 to pin 1, and you get continuity. And you just repeat that through all 40 wires. And if your giant loop has no issues, you'll get continuity in all 40 wires. And if all 40 wires pass, then you know you have a good cable and you can go look somewhere else. In my Featherlight, I have cables running from every single switch panel back to the bicolor board area. And there's a breakout board similar to this between the bicolor board and the cable run that allows for the switch signal to go to a relay. It's a little board similar to this. It's a lot shorter, and it has a ribbon cable coming from the switch panel, a ribbon cable going to the bicolor board, and in the middle there's a breakout section where individual wires can come off of to go trigger relays, finder relays in the switch panel circuits. So this is invaluable for fixing all my switch panels. I went and verified all cables. I did find bad cables that were chewed up or frayed from 30 years of vibrating and going on the road. I was able to patch those cables by cutting out the bad section and then using my 30 foot of extra cable that I had and connectors, male and female. I was able to make bridge connections that fixed the problem rather than having to run an entirely new wire all the way through the the bus all the way back to the electrical closet. So everywhere I had a ribbon cable, I was able to verify that the cable was good, or fix a cable, or replace a cable. In some cases, the header pins on the, pardon me, on these cables were actually tarnished and had so much resistance on them that they weren't working anymore. So just taking the old head off, cutting it off, and putting a new head on it with an IDC tool, compression tool, fixed a lot of my issues with my EAO switch cable runs. So that's basically what this is, and it's invaluable.